think we are live. I think we are live. Just give it a second, boys. I know some of you guys are probably picking me up on certain platforms, but we're live on YouTube. We're live on Locals. Rumble is going to come up here in a second, and we'll get going on. We got a lot of important things to talk about. I even took some notes here, okay? And there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to obviously do a quick little sound check with you guys and video check, make sure everything is good. I see that we're live on YouTube right now. Okay. I see that we're live on YouTube. I think the audio is coming in good as well. Let's see here. Okay, guys, give me ones in the chat if everything is good. Give me ones in the chat. I'm monitoring all the chats right now. YouTube, Rumble. I think we're live on Kick, Party, everywhere. Give me ones in chat if everything is good. Give me ones in chat if everything is good. All right, awesome. Shout out to Miguel's little brother who's running the show right now. And shout out to Miguel and Charlie for letting me use their studio. Obviously, this was a very important topic. I had to go ahead and come in and have a discussion with you. But yeah, he's going to be on the ones and twos, switching cameras and audio and everything like that. So, and he can see the chat. So if everything is good and I'm seeing all ones, we can kind of get into the broadcast. So first, I'll give you guys an update of what's going on. I'm here in Vegas, guys. I've been here for a few days now. Been doing a bunch of collabs, linked up with Jake Shields, the Hodge twins, did some work with Ryan Pineda. That interview is going to come out very soon. And, you know, other things as well. As you guys know, we did Access Vegas as well, like the Avengers with Andrew Wilson, Jake Rattlesnake, Michael Sartain, Rolo. I uploaded the video for you guys in full on my channel, but it's also up on Rolo's channel as well, probably Sartain's. You know, great discussion. We went for like almost 3 hours. So, you know, here working. I was also at a YouTuber event for, like, you know, a bunch of the gun YouTubers. So I have this wristband here. We actually have we have an event to go to later on in a few hours. So after I do this broadcast, I want to go link up with them. You know, we're making moves, guys. As you guys know, we're diversified over here. We cover politics. We cover true crime, law enforcement stuff, dating, womanizing, culture, everything. So, you know, we're very diverse, and I like being able to dabble in many different aspects to be a diversified podcaster. But yeah, we're here in Vegas, guys. That's where I haven't been live. You guys are probably wondering, well, where you been? Whatever. I've been in Vegas. Also, we're going to be in Ohio State next week on the 12th. We just locked that in, guys. So we are going to be in Ohio, Ohio State, OSU, Buckeyes, if I'm not mistaken, next week, November 12th. And then this Saturday, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. with Tim Pool doing Culture War with Alex Stein and a couple other people. So that's going to be a good time as well. So I leave Vegas tomorrow to DC, Tim Pool, Culture War Saturday. Then I'm back in Miami for a few days. Then we're off to Ohio to debate some college kids. It's going to be freezing, but I'll be out there. And then obviously tonight we have a little bit of a social gathering that we're going to link up with some other guys. So I'll be on for not too long, but obviously we have a very important topic because I'm waiting for everyone to kind of file in here because we just kind of made this stream impromptu. I just made the event and said, hey, we got to get something done here. I know a lot of you guys are on the East Coast and we're 3 hours ahead. It's, I think, 11 p.m. now, Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Western Time. So why are we doing this broadcast? We're doing this broadcast, guys, because there is, and I had to do this, even though I'm out here right now and, you know, I could have waited until I got back. I think this is very important to talk about this topic now because things are rapidly unfolding. And I think you guys need to know what the hell is going on here because we are at a pivotal position right now. And I'm not kidding around or trying to be hyperbolic when I say this. We're in a very pivotal position right now with where we are when it comes to politics, conservatism, where we are as a nation. As many of you guys know, Zohran Mamdani won mayor of New York City. That's extremely relevant, even though you may or may not live in New York City. You might not care about the state of New York. Hell, you might have never even been to New York City ever. But you need to understand that the city of New York is probably one of, if not the most influential cities in the world, let alone the United States. And we have basically a socialist guy that came in, and he's going to be running that city. And like I predicted months ago, and I retweeted it earlier today, that he was going to win. And not only did I retweet that he was going to win, I told you guys that the Democratic Party was going to utilize his campaign strategy to go ahead and try to secure the White House in 2028. Okay. And I'm already seeing Democrats running on the notion of I don't take AIPAC money, et cetera, because whether people want to accept it or not, it wasn't just his socialist policies that got people excited. It was him being an anti-establishment figure. The very campaign style that Donald Trump used in 2015, right, to take over the GOP and create MAGA is precisely what Mamdani did at a smaller scale in the city of New York. Okay. And I predict that the Democrat Party is going to do that. So that's one end that's very important. Also, I touched on this before, but obviously the fallout is going crazy. We need to talk about this as well. As you guys know, roughly several days ago, there was a meeting here in Vegas, actually, and I didn't know it was here, but there was the Republican Jewish Coalition meeting, right? Where many political figures on the right got together and basically declared war on anyone in the right wing that is critical of Israel. And this has been a long time coming. I hate to say I predict this as well, but I knew at some point that they were going to put their foot down and say, we're not going to allow these guys to keep criticizing Israel and have these discussions, these difficult discussions, because the reality is, guys, the GOP is the last safe haven for Zionists in America. Okay? It has historically always been run by them. It has historically always been owned by them, lobbied by them, and that is the last safe haven, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to preserve that. And it's one thing for the Democratic Party and the progressives and the leftists to oppose the state of Israel. It's another thing for people on the right to do so, right? So this is where we are. And I think it's very important that you guys understand, how the hell did we get here, okay? How the hell did we get to a point where we have this major rift in the right wing, in the GOP? And why are we, and how are we going to proceed from here? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about it, but no one really talks about the background and the history, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to summarize thousands of years of history, okay, in a monologue for you guys, and kind of go through this step by step of how we got here and why, number one, this discussion is important, extremely important. Number two, why this discussion is happening. Number three, why they're fighting so hard to defend Israel, right, especially on the right, so that you guys can properly understand the context and where we go from here, okay? Before I do that, let me look at some of the chats, make sure I don't miss anything. Guys, get your chats in right now. Or you just hit donations there? Okay, we got here Board Henry Ford with the one. Appreciate you, bro. This is from the OSS. Shout out to all my OSS guys out there. You still running the promo code for you guys. L YouTube is the code. Just click, just type in L YouTube, get in for the first month for $1. What's the next one there? Click that. Oh, way more. Sorry, guys, I'm blind. Wavy, my subscribe. Welcome to the OSS, bro. We got. Yo, these names are crazy. Jupacabra says, nigga could be gambling, but brings us the news instead. W nigga O/. Yeah, you guys know I don't gamble. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I've never even smoked weed in my life. Every time I come to Vegas, I'm like the only person here that's sober, that isn't gambling, not doing drugs, or not partying. I'm here to always work. Levier Adams says, did you hear about North Korea plotting to intervene with the war with Palestine? No, I didn't hear about that, but I doubt that's going to happen. But yes, North Korea does not recognize Israel. They don't like Israel. And then we got here, Benjamin Netanyahu says WO/. Oh, okay. Thank you for tuning into the broadcast. We're going to talk about you a little bit too today, BB. Anything else? That's it for now? Okay, cool. Let me just make sure everything is good here. Hey guys, do me a favor. Smash the like button. We got already here 4,000 plus you guys in here between the different platforms. So let's kind of, well, actually, no, I see 7,000, 8,000 between everything. Okay. So we're live everywhere. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Rumble. We're live on YouTube because we want to make sure we get this. Let me pin this real quick over here. Okay. Yeah. So make sure to smash the like button. Click donations one more time. Mo Ali says, thank you for always exposing these filthy. Yep, you know how it goes. Thank you for, we're putting the chats on screen, guys. So please censor yourself if you're going to say crazy shit. Bro, they already took a lot of clips I had with the word J and Israel and said to them they cannot. Wait, they're going hard on censorship? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Man, I'm blind. I need to bring my glasses. Can we enlarge it a little bit if that's cool? Yeah, just hit Control Plus a few more times so I can just, if the chat gets bigger. Yeah, that's way better. Now I can actually see. Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it, guys. So how the hell did we get here? I'm going to go back a very long time so that this all makes sense here. Okay. The number one thing you guys need to understand is that them boys, and I'm on YouTube, so I'm going to use code words. Them boys have historically been a diaspora people that have not had a homeland. Okay. For thousands of years, right? The state of Israel or the Levant, they've kind of been in and out. And they've always been a diaspora people that have been, removed, kicked from, expelled from thousands of societies over 100 times. Okay, we've all heard the 109 and we make our jokes and everything else like that. But there is no doubt, and even people that are pro-Israel would agree with this, they definitely agree with this, that there's no doubting that them boys have been persecuted for a very long time, okay? For thousands of years. There's a multitude of reasons why. We won't get into that so much, but what you guys need to know is that they've been removed and or kicked from many different societies throughout history, okay? Now, this has built up a resolve within them to stick together, enrich each other, protect each other, and for a very long time until the creation of Israel, band together no matter where they are in the host nation. Fast forwarding to the creation of Israel in 1948, it was built upon it was declared during World War I with the Balfour Declaration, but then it was actually formally a country in 1948, okay? And as you guys know, when they declared their independence in 1948, much of the Arab world rebelled against this and waged war on them. And this war against Israel by the Arabs has been going on for a very long time, despite the fact that they've been able to make peace with some countries like Egypt or Jordan and bribe them or destabilize and destroy their enemies like Iraq. There has been constant warfare in that region for a very long time, but especially since the creation of Israel. Okay, many wars, whether it's the 1948 war, the Nakba, the Six-Day War, the Yom Kippur War, the many different skirmishes that went on between Israel and Gaza and all the conflicts they've had, the war after October 7th, the Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, many different confrontations, both with Palestinians from the West Bank and from Gaza, right? So after the state of Israel was created, now they finally had a homeland. And since they've been ostracized and removed from so many different societies for so long, okay, they've built up this resolve where they say never again, or rise up and kill them first, or through deception we create war, the old Mossad model, right? And this is why they conduct the operations that they do. They conduct the intelligence operations that they do. This is why they attack their enemies preemptively many times. This is why they drag us into wars. This is why they do the things that they do all across the Middle East. And it's very important for you guys to understand Middle Eastern foreign policy so that you guys can understand what the hell is going on here, okay? It's not enough to just say, well, they control our politicians. Oh, they control America. You need to understand why they control America so you see what's going on next, okay? And you also need to understand the history to understand why they fight so hard for the things that they do, okay? So we covered the biblical times briefly. We covered the wars from the 40s all up until now. Let's get into fast forward to 2001. As you guys know, we were attacked on 9/11 by Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, or at least that's what we were told back then. Much research has been done, documentaries have come out, and Americans have slowly been figuring out that there were other entities involved in 9/11, namely the Israeli government and the Saudi Arabian government were involved 100% and had foreknowledge, okay, that we were going to be attacked, and they let it happen, right? The FBI and the CIA weren't sharing information. The Mossad had information and knew that we were going to be attacked. They were following around these hijackers, okay, in California, in South Florida, all the way up until the attacks happened on September 11th. That's why they knew exactly where to be to celebrate and take pictures, okay, with the dancing Israelis. So there was absolutely foreknowledge with what was going to happen. Another example of where they had foreknowledge. I'm wearing an OSS Liberty shirt. They attacked us back then in the 1960s, destroyed a naval ship, right? I talked with Phil Turney about this, right? He was a survivor. Went into intimate detail about what happened on that day when they were attacked and how Lyndon B. Johnson did everything in his power to conceal it. John F. Kennedy, when he was shot and killed, November 22nd, 1963. Who was there to take the video? A guy named Abraham Zapruder. Who's Abraham Zapruder? One of them boys, right? Who was there at the perfect time, recording it with the perfect position, and he was able to sell that for quite a bit of money, like $100,000. All right? And that video came out later on in the 1970s. A lot of people don't know that video. The Zapruder film came out later. So what are the coincidences that they're there to document 9/11? They're there to document the assassination of a U.S. president, right? Because he was anti-nuclear proliferation, and the Israelis were stealing nuclear secrets from us in technology, namely uranium, back in the 1960s. And his brother was trying to get them to register under FARA. What are the chances? And this is all information, by the way, that's been suppressed for a very, very long time. Now, a lot of you guys that watch me all the time, you guys know that I've talked about these things at length, but some of you might be new viewers. You might not even know what the hell I'm talking about. But the reality is, I find it very interesting that at pivotal moments in American history, there was always one of them boys there to record it and document it. Isn't that weird? Assassination of Kennedy, 9/11, the USS Liberty, etc. So now we're going to go back to 9/11. So when 9/11 occurred, right, at the time when we were attacked, everyone was like, it's Al-Qaeda, it's Muslim terrorists, etc. This is what it is. These are our enemies. And what 9/11 was basically a Pearl Harbor event that allowed us to throw rational thinking out the window and wage war on all of our enemies in the Middle East, whether or not they were aligned with Osama bin Laden, right? And when you actually start to look at the war plans for the war in Iraq and how we got there, you start to figure out, wait, who are all the framers of the Iraq war? Who were the members, or who were the people that wrote the Clean Break Memo? Who were the people that wrote the Project for a New America, PNAC, right? Building security in the realm with the 1996 Clean Break Memo. You figure out that they're all them boys, neocons, that have a vested interest in protecting Israel, right? And if that means we're going to use a terrorist attack and contort it and use it as justification for this war on terror to go after the biggest threat for them at the time, which was Saddam Hussein, and destabilize that government and then use it to continue to attack other people in the Middle East, we will do so. And that's why we're still stuck there to this day, right? And it's only now, 20 plus years later, that Americans are waking up and realizing, holy crap, we went to war in Iraq for no reason. Because the reality is, to summarize it for you guys, the reason why we went to war in Iraq is because a bunch of Jewish neocons, okay, to include American ones as well, came up with the story that Mohammed Atta, the head hijacker from Al-Qaeda, met with Iraqi intelligence officers somewhere in Malaysia or Prague. I forget exactly where it was, but they met up and they passed anthrax. And that was the link that they utilized to justify the war in Iraq. Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Bill Kristol, Robert Kagan, Paul Wolfowitz, all these guys. Dick Cheney, who just passed away recently, who's responsible for the death of millions and the displacement of even more, right? Because he was the one that effectively ran the United States post 9/11. It wasn't Bush. Bush was not an experienced politician. It was Dick Cheney that had all the connections, power, and ability to actually run our foreign policy. He was effectively running it. And just so you guys know, the vice president is a ceremonial position. It's not really a real position of power. It's a very ceremonial position. But Dick Cheney actually did stuff when he was in, and he was one of the main architects of the Iraq war. Him, John Bolton, and a bunch of other guys. But for the purposes of this discussion, what you guys need to know is Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. Okay? I think we can all say this now at this point, that the intelligence that we relied upon, which was supplied to us by the Israelis, by the way, which makes it even crazier, was not accurate at all. The anthrax scare, a lie. Benjamin Netanyahu coming in and saying famously back in 2002-ish, taking out Saddam will have positive reverberations across the Middle East. That was a lie. We're still there. We're still destabilizing them. We're still fighting over there, right? So we went ahead and we waged these wars in the Middle East and attacked Saddam and destroyed Iraq and all these other countries for Israel. And they are willing, right, to lobby, to have people get in positions of power, lie, put out bad information to get us dragged into war. And the Iraq war killed literally over 1 million people, several of our servicemen, tens of thousands of our servicemen, right? Because we're not even including the guys that came back and ended it all because of all the trauma that they've been through when they were serving, right? We had a bunch of guys die there. Then we had a bunch of guys, self-delete when they got back to the United States. And not to mention all the trillions and, the death and destruction and the displacement of people that led to mass immigration and people coming to all these places. A lot of people complain about mass immigration. A big reason why we have so much mass immigration from a lot of these countries is because we destroyed it. We literally destroyed it. Where else are they going to go, right? Iraqi, Syrian, Middle Eastern refugees, the entire Middle East has been destroyed for the most part, right? And for a very long time, Americans didn't know why. Why do they hate us so much? What's going on here? Why do we have these beefs? And Osama bin Laden famously wrote a letter called A Letter to America. And in this letter, he outlined a lot of his grievances with the United States. And a lot of it had to do with our foreign policy and our support of Israel, where we basically cut these guys a blank check for infinite military aid, infinite support, infinite defense, where they can do whatever they want, and we're going to sit there and back them, right? And the funny part is back then when the letter came out in the early 2000s, when he expresses, issues with American foreign policy, they didn't publish it. And they didn't publish it because back then they claimed, oh, well, we don't know if there's going to be sleeper cells that are going to be activated by this letter and they're going to feel the need to come in and attack. But we know that now we know that's a lie because this letter came back out and resurfaced in November of 2023 on TikTok. And it basically, woke a lot of people up to our foreign policy. Because I'm 35, I'm a bit older. A lot of you guys are right around my age group. You guys remember after 2001, the war propaganda, the anthrax scare, they hate us because of our freedoms. We all dealt with the pro-Israel propaganda, the neocon propaganda back then in the early 2000s. But these young people didn't. So when they were able to read that letter with a fresh set of eyes where they weren't indoctrinated as propaganda 20 years ago, they're like, what the hell? So you're telling me that we went in there, destroyed all these nations, killed all these people, displaced all these people. We support this country that continues to do this over there. Of course they're going to hate us. Of course they're going to hate us, right? And a lot of us didn't know this. But when it went on TikTok, it went viral and they did everything in their power to kind of censor it. So we talked about the diaspora. We talked about World War II and the never again mantra. We talked about the creation of Israel, and we talked about the many wars that occurred after the creation of Israel. We talked about the war on terror, right? Let's go to October 7th, because this is where things really start to shift, okay? Now, before I get into the October 7th stuff, we can read some chats real quick. And it is a little breezy in here. No, that's fine. I'll just put my hoodie on. Okay. So Jay Hunter says, hey, Marion, I was wondering if you have an update to listen to OSS offline. I listen to Apple Podcasts, J2 portion, and listen to it. Yeah, I got the link below. Spotify. I have a Spotify. You can go in there. We can watch on Apple, iTunes, whatever. It's all there. So click the link below. It says Spotify, and you can use whatever one you want. The Palantir list is probably ready to be activated. Okay. Yeah, probably. Cam 2 Times says, after election day on Tuesday, America is more cooked now than the Democrats. Most of their state elections, especially in, I can't see the rest of that. Is it not public? Yeah, I can see it now. Most of their state elections, especially in Virginia, electing the first female Democrat governor, Abigail Spanberger. Also, do you think they actually allowed illegals to vote against Republicans? I wouldn't be surprised if they did. All right, what else do we got here? Osage Groiper, appreciate that. King Durals, what do you say? Hey, Myron, have you ever discussed the JFK Jr. plane crash in 1999? He posted a conspiracy. I haven't, but I will in the future. Okay, Gosmity says, we read that. Keep scrolling down. We read the Cam 2 times 1. Can you pray for Snuff Music? He got raped by an emu and needs support at this time. Okay. Anything else? We're caught up? Okay. So, recap we recap the diaspora, World War II, the creation of Israel, post World War II with the Havar Agreement, etc. Fights against the Arab world after the creation of Israel, the war on terror, how that was manufactured by neocons with 9/11, and I've talked about 9/11, at a length. There's a fantastic documentary that I recommend that you guys watch by Ryan Dawson. It's called The Empire Unmasked. He did a remake on it, a newer remake on it, and it covers all the Israeli and Saudi Arabian links. And the bottom line is this, guys: 9/11 was a conspiracy between the U.S. government, entities of the U.S. government, the Israeli government, and the Saudi Arabian government, working in tandem, whether known or unbeknownst to each other, and facilitating this attack and allowing it to happen with foreknowledge. Okay, so all three parties are guilty in this, and it's all out there in that documentary. Feel free to watch it. There's many Israeli links and Saudi Arabian links. I won't go into it for the purpose of this broadcast, but that's the bottom line of what you need to know when it comes to who was actually responsible for that. Now, let's get into October 7th, okay? Because this is what I call this was the beginning of the Great Awakening, okay? October 7th. Now, I'm going to describe the social media landscape prior to October 7th, and I'm going to describe it after, because this is very important for you guys to understand. Prior to October 7th, if you uttered Zionism, if you uttered the state of Israel, if you and you talked about, them boys, world Jewry, any of this stuff, it was probably going to be one of the fastest ways for you to get banned, okay? Now, we have to be honest, and I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you guys who was running social media platforms at the time. The head of YouTube was Susan Wojcicki. The founders of Google, Sergey Brin, who she was very close with, by the way. The head of Meta and Facebook and Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg. Head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri. Okay? The reality is, a lot of these social media companies, right, were run by Zionist Jews. It is what it is. Okay? And especially on YouTube, posting anything that talked about anything critical of Israel, since so few people did it, you would be put under a magnifying glass and it'd be like whack-a-mole. You say something, bam, they hit you immediately. You're getting a strike, you're getting your channel terminated, ADL's writing a hit piece on you, SPLC's writing a hit piece on you, Media Matters is writing a hit piece on you. If you come out and talked about any of this stuff prior to October 7th, you were immediately put on a list, and they would do everything in their power to cancel you and destroy you, whether it's by shadow banning you, demonetizing you, or just outright nuking your channel. That's what it was, okay? That was the landscape on all of social media on this topic, okay? And if you did Google dancing Israelis or art students or 9/11 or USS Liberty or JFK nuclear proliferation or NUMEC, it was very hard to get answers, okay? That all changed after October 7th. As you guys know, Hamas invaded on October 7th with Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. They invaded for a bunch of different geopolitical reasons that I've covered many times on this channel, right? But the occupation, the Abraham Accords, them building the temple, and destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque, that's why the operation was called Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. Those were some of the reasons they invaded and attacked, right? 1,200 people were tragically killed on that day. Now, when it comes to who killed them, this is where a dispute comes. We know 400 of those individuals were enemy combatants and members of the IDF, right? And we also know that the Hannibal Directive was activated on that day, according to Yoav Gallant, the defense minister, right? So The Hannibal Directive is basically a directive where the Israelis are allowed to basically kill other Israelis for fear of them being captured and brought back to Gaza to be used in hostage negotiations later on. So no one, to this day, no one really knows how many were killed by Hamas versus how many were killed by the IDF. No one really knows. Now, if you talk to pro-Israel people, they'll tell you, oh, Hamas killed everybody. That's simply not true, because a lot of the people that were killed in a manner where it would be impossible for Hamas to do so, because they don't have Hellfire missiles and Apache helicopters, right? They don't have the capabilities to murder some of these individuals the way that they were murdered. But that's a whole other discussion. But the point you need to know, and the takeaway that you need to know from this, is that October 7th was significant because Hamas invaded, a lot of people were killed, and this started the conflict that we're currently still seeing now 2 years later. Now, when October 7th happened, okay, what ended up happening was everyone got behind the Israelis. The entire Western world got behind them. People were saying Israel has the right to defend itself. Do you condemn Hamas, as Piers Morgan was saying all over the place? And at that point, they could do no wrong, right? Everyone felt sorry for them. But what quickly proceeded after really went to go ahead and show what the Israelis have been doing forever. The mask came off. And what we saw was the systemic bombing and destruction and murdering of tens of thousands of people. And when this is all said and done and the smoke clears, it's probably going to be hundreds of thousands of people. As of the date of the recording of this stream and this broadcast, roughly 60,000 plus have been murdered by the Israelis. The Israelis estimate somewhere between 20 to 30,000 of them were Hamas, right? Israeli internal documents have estimated that roughly 80% of the people that were killed were innocent people, right? And it's going to probably be a lot more, because a lot of these people were pulverized when they were attacked and bombed. A lot of these people are buried in the rubble. Something like 90% of Gaza's infrastructure has been destroyed. The starvation and all the other people dying from disease, malnutrition, different ways that they died. So when this is all said and done, it's going to be hundreds of thousands dead. Now, this led the international community to heavily condemn Israel, rightfully so. This led to several genocide experts and historians to say, yeah, this is absolutely a genocide, while the Israeli government denies it, right? And the Hezbollah police, as I call them, also deny it, right? Pro-Israel people say that it wasn't a genocide. This is them defending themselves. They say other ridiculous comments like, Israel, the IDF is the most moral army in the world. We have the best ratio, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely nuts. But that's where we are, right? They can absolutely, they can deny genocide that occurred in 4K. Now, the reason why Israel is so disliked right now is because, unlike other conflicts that Israel's been involved in, we have the internet. And not only do we have the internet, we have X, we have Rumble, and we have other platforms that aren't so controlled by the Zionist lobby and pro-censorship. And what ended up happening was people saw these images of children getting bombed. People saw these images of children starving. People saw these images of people being dismembered by explosives. People saw these images of people being shot by the IDF while peacefully protesting, right? And the world quickly started to turn against Israel. Most importantly, the United States, okay? You have people on the left side of the camp saying, this is a genocidal apartheid ethno-state that is killing people. So they're protesting from a humanitarian perspective. You have people on the right that are protesting from a humanitarian perspective, but also from a nationalistic perspective. We are occupied by a foreign nation that is conducting a genocide that, subverts our government and utilizes our power and our resources to cover for themselves as they commit atrocities in our name. And we fund it, right? But the bottom line is this. Both people on the far left and on the far right are coming together and understanding that Israeli influence in our government is a serious fucking problem. And I think also it's interesting when you take someone like a Hassan Piker or a Kyle Kulinski, far leftist, I would say, damn near socialist, and they're agreeing with people like me, some of you guys might consider me more on the far alt-right, right? So if you got people from completely different political spectrums agreeing on this topic, I think it's safe to say that it's a fucking problem, right? I think it's fair to say. Now, what October 7th basically did, though, was it blew the lid on the ironclad censorship regime that Israel had. Because prior to October 7th, as I discussed before, If you talked about this topic, you were immediately targeted, immediately removed, immediately demonetized, immediately attacked, or whatever it may be, and they got you the fuck up out of there right away before your ideas could spread, right? But after October 7th, with the explosion of platforms like X, Elon Musk procuring it, Rumble, and also TikTok, they couldn't censor everybody. People started making videos on TikTok. TikTok, as you guys know, as much as I hate that platform, it's really good for organic growth. And it's left dominated. And we all know how the left feels about Israel at this point. So people were posting pro-Palestine content. People were posting from the river to the sea. They were posting the images of the kids getting blown up. And the youth started to get radicalized and red-pilled on what the fuck is going on in the Middle East. Conversely, on Twitter, which is more of a pro-right-wing app, people were talking about what was going on and posting images of the kids getting blown up and killed, right? So in their own way, young people on the left were on TikTok, and there's some conservatives, obviously, that use TikTok as well. And then young people on the right who use Twitter were seeing what the hell is going on, and they came to the same conclusion. Our support of Israel is unacceptable. They're killing people in our name. We're giving them a massive amount of support, and this is unacceptable. And people got red pilled on this topic, right? And it was too much for the ADL to handle. It was so bad that Jonathan Greenblatt had to go to Israel and say, look, we got a TikTok problem. We need to do something about TikTok. Now, let me explain to you guys the power. Anyone that tries to sit there and tell you that Israel doesn't run this country, you look them in the eye and you tell them, shut the fuck up. And I'm going to give you guys a talking point that you can go ahead and use. And I haven't seen many people point this out. For you guys to understand this, we need to go back to 2020. In August of 2020, there was talks of banning TikTok. As you guys know, after the pandemic, people were stuck in their homes. TikTok exploded in popularity. Everyone and their mom was using it. But the United States government looked at it as a problem because they called it Chinese spyware. So for national security reasons, they wanted to get rid of it. And this is under the Donald Trump administration, by the way. There was talks about banning it, getting rid of it for national security reasons. Fine. Guess what? Never actually happened, right? Fast forward to 2023, 2024, as the letter to America is blowing up on TikTok, as From the River to the Sea trends, as the exposure of AIPAC lobbying our politicians explodes in popularity on TikTok, as progressive political commentators are criticizing Israel on TikTok. The Jewish and Zionist lobbies get together and say, this is a problem. We need to get rid of this. Not only did they say that we need to get rid of this, the Heritage Foundation, which we're going to talk about them as well here, who are cucking themselves right as we speak, wrote out something called Project Esther. And this outline, this strategy was written before Trump came into office, and in it, it outlined combating the anti-Semitism in the United States. And they talked about TikTok on there a little bit. And Jonathan Greenblatt talked about it as well. Now, when Trump came into office, right, what did he do? He was in a rock and a hard place because TikTok was responsible for him getting elected. As you guys know, Charlie Kirk is big on TikTok, right? One of the few conservatives that was able to stay on there without getting banned. And Trump used it quite a bit for his campaigning. Trump heavily relied upon social media to get elected, while Kamala Harris relied upon conventional advertising with, mainstream celebrities, et cetera, that really don't have influence. They're famous, but they don't have influence. Meanwhile, Trump relied upon influencers to build said influence, and he won. So Trump had a vested interest in keeping TikTok open, and also a lot of Americans use it for business, right? So to shut it down simply because of Israel, it doesn't really look too good. So what they ended up doing is, when Trump got in, it got shut down for 24 hours, and then it got reactivated. And when it got reactivated, you couldn't put watermelon emojis, you couldn't say AIPAC, you couldn't say From the River to the Sea, certain content was being suppressed, etc. Right? But that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. They said, we need to get someone to buy this thing so that we can have more control over it. An American to buy it, right? So what ended up happening was they kind of had like something close to like a continuing resolution where they were, okay, look, we're going to defer it. We're going to, buy them a little bit more time, but we need someone to go ahead and buy this and, put some American interest in it, right? American. So fast forward, your boy Larry Ellison purchases TikTok, right? And he procures, I think, Paramount and some other big media companies at the same time. Now, for those of you that don't know who Larry Ellison is, I'll make it simple. He's a Jewish Zionist who supports the IDF, okay? He procures TikTok, and what happens? The censorship once again comes back. It's even more censored now when it comes to pro-Palestine stuff. So why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you this so that you guys understand. When it came to American national security and avoiding Chinese spying, we didn't get rid of TikTok. But when it came to the Zionist lobby saying we need to get rid of TikTok because we don't like what they're saying about Israel, they got rid of TikTok. Let that sink in. American national security in 2020 came second to the pressure and power and influence of the Zionist lobby in 2025. Add to that as we speak, we saw a bunch of college students being grabbed up all across the country for protesting against Israel. Whether it be Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia or the girl that was picked up in Somerville at Tufts. Now look, we don't have to agree with these people politically. I don't a lot. These guys are leftists. A lot of them are socialists. But the United States First Amendment of freedom of speech was designed to protect political speech especially. And the fact that we had people being picked up that are legally here, by the way, they're students, for political speech criticizing a foreign nation. Hell, at one point, you could burn an American flag and nobody would care, but if you burn an Israeli flag, you could get deported for that. So Trump had to come back and be like, oh yeah, well, if you burn an American flag, that's illegal too now, right? Because of all the backlash that he got. The fact that all of these, all of this legislation was passed out for a foreign nation, don't let any of these fucking people gaslight you and try to tell you that Israel doesn't run America. They do. They absolutely do. Okay? We have laws in place to protect them from criticism in the United States. So I talked about October 7th and the media landscape before October 7th, prior to what it is now. Now we're going to get into some of the stuff that's going on now in 2025. Let's read some chats and I'll get back to it. And guys, I'm reading OSS chats only, and then if you Rumble Rant or whatever, $10 and up, I'll read. But let's see here. Yeah, I can read that. Did you hear that? Ye apologize to them boys. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Speedy said, what else we got? That's a Rumble Rant note. OSS. Which, by the way, guys, join OSS, man. Only $1. Use the code LO YouTube to jump in. I read all your chats. As much as I think Mamdani was a bad choice, election does show that it's possible to win without AIPAC money. Credit where it's due. He didn't take a single dollar from them. Absolutely. And that's a big part of why he got credibility. He ran on the same exact premise of Donald Trump of being an anti-establishment guy. Reem says, Snuff Music, you can back me, bitch. Okay, they're arguing with each other in the chat. Anything else? That's it? All right. Okay, so now that we described the landscape of what was going on prior to October 7th and post-October 7th, now the genie's out the bottle and everyone is, red pill on his stuff. You look up a top, top H, if you guys know what I'm saying, I'm on YouTube. You look up one of his AI speeches, you look at the comment section, everyone's woken up. You go on Instagram, right? And you look at the comment section and people are making jokes. Hey, this was promised to this guy 3,000 years ago, right? 109 countries, right? You get kicked out of 109 bars, blah, blah, blah. You see that this content is starting to be able to put that out there on YouTube, because one of the benefits, right, of Donald Trump coming into office, even though he was behind a lot of this legislation that's responsible for censorship, he did also help censorship recede a bit, which allowed us the opening to be able to talk about this in the first place, right? Because under the Biden and Kamala administration, talking about this was big L until after October 7th. So now with Trump, at least him coming in, has put more pressure on the social media platforms to allow more free speech. Because as you guys know, Donald Trump was a victim of censorship himself after January 6th. He was banned off of every single platform in early 2021 after the insurrection, right? So that is one of the benefits, despite the fact that he has implemented portions of Project Esther, which I explained to you guys before, was a comprehensive plan written by the Heritage Foundation to combat anti-Semitism. A lot of the things that you guys are seeing the administration implement now when it comes to combating anti-Semitism comes from Project Esther. And I encourage all of you guys to go ahead and take a look at it. I've been talking about this thing for well over a year, and I knew that this was going to be the game plan or the outline that this administration would utilize when they came into power. And that was one of the things that Donald Trump also ran on, is that he was going to go harder on the Israel haters, which, we're seeing him happening. Despite the fact that censorship did go back a bit and gave us a window to come and have these discussions, we are seeing the window close a little bit, and that brings us kind of where we are now. So during the course of what I call the Great Awakening, many prominent figures in the political sphere have come out and opposed Israel, right? You have people on the left who pretty much virtually every single big political commentator on the left is critical of Israel except for Dave Pacman, because he's a pussy, right? And he's also one of them boys. But virtually everyone else on the left, critical of Israel. Don't like it, look at it negatively, etc. However, on the right, which, like I told you guys before, has typically been a safe haven for Zionists, there have been some big voices coming out and criticizing them. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, myself, and many others, right? And this is unorthodox because typically the right wing has always been pro-Israel. The Republican Party in itself has been funded, supported, and propped up by the Jewish lobby. So one of the biggest right-wing conservative commentators that's been critical of Israel for a very long time is a guy named Nick Fuentes. I'm sure all of you guys know who he is, right? And because he was critical of Israel since he was 18 years old, the Zionist lobby, the ADL, and these media organizations have done everything in their power to destroy him. Whether it was Ben Shapiro making sure that he never uttered his name and made sure that he got removed from Daily Wire, or it was the ADL constantly making hit pieces on him to ensure that he would get banned off of every single platform, or it was the SPLC or any of these organizations, Media Matter, etc. Not only did they go after him, they went after anyone who worked with him. As you guys know, back in 2023, we did a historic debate between him and Destiny, where they debated American support of Israel and the benefits and the detriments to it. And it was a fantastic debate. We had over 100,000 people watching. It was great. This was back in 2023, before October 7th, by the way. And obviously that put us on the radar. That got us demonetized. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to let you guys know that they didn't just target him, but they targeted anyone that platformed him, and they targeted anyone that was an ally of him. And I don't regret anything. Fuck them, honestly. And I'm glad that we did it because it made us stronger and more resourceful being demonetized. And now we're not relying upon bitch-ass YouTube and these other platforms like Twitch, etc., for monetization. So though it was difficult to endure that for a period of time, it made us stronger, it made us more resourceful, and we no longer depend on these platforms for income. So it was a blessing in disguise. We get remonetized, awesome. If we don't, it is what it is. But that's not the point of this discussion. The point of this discussion is to let you guys know that they had a hard-on for this guy for a very long time because what he was saying was dangerous and true. So they did everything in their power to contain him for the better part of 10 years. And Nick really started to pick up traction this year after censorship started to recede. And rightfully so. He's been censored for a very long time. And a lot of these ideas and a lot of the things that he predicted happened. Israel waged a war against all of their enemies, utilizing October 7th as an excuse. Israel dragged us into a conflict with Iran, like he predicted. The Israel lobby exerted an enormous amount of power to get TikTok shut down. He talked about the attack on the Ivy League schools, how the Department of Justice went after Harvard, Columbia, and all these other institutions, threatening withholding federal funding because they allowed these protests to occur. He was right on the money about a lot of this stuff. So they did everything in their power to contain him. But you can't withhold the truth forever, right? There's a famous saying, there's three things you can't stop: the sun, the moon, and the truth from coming out. And that's exactly what happened, right? Now, as I was explaining to you guys before, after October 7th, when everyone else was calling out all this stuff, right? They couldn't ban everybody. And one of the rising voices was Nick at the time, right? So what ended up happening was started getting more popularity, got on ban on X. He was right about a lot of his predictions. A lot of people tuned into the show, which I encourage all of you guys to go watch America First whenever he's live. It's great stuff. And he started to get a lot of popularity. It was undeniable. The very institutions and the very parties that did everything in their power to suppress him and destroy him now had to accept him. And this really came to a head after the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? As you guys know, there were adversaries for different reasons, right? They disagreed on the Israel topic. I'm not here to really discuss that too much, but what I will say is that he was assassinated. Rest in peace to Charlie. We don't have to agree politically to show a little bit of respect and compassion for someone. At the end of the day, he was a good man that had a family. And for him to be assassinated in that manner in front of all those people was unacceptable. And I hope the people that were responsible, whoever they are, all face justice. But that created a void. And in that void, Nick blew up. Right, rightfully so. And it was it's undeniable popularity. So what ended up happening was he went on Candace, had a discussion with Candace. Tucker had mentioned him. There was a little bit of a back and forth between him and Tucker. And that brings me to the interview, right? So as you guys know, I think maybe it's been 2 weeks now or so, right? Nick Fuentes appeared on Tucker Carlson's podcast, right? And that a discussion that some people, I would say a majority of people loved, but some people hated, right? And we know who those people are that hated it. They were coming at Tucker saying, look, you platformed this Nazi and he's this and he's that and blah, blah, blah. And they were losing their minds over him platforming Nick, right? And by the way, a lot of these people are the ones that say, oh yeah, like we don't believe in censorship. But when it comes to talking about Israel and talking about this topic, they believe in censorship. Right? And it's also important for you guys to understand that while Israel was conducting this warfare all across the Middle East, where they were attacking Syria, they were attacking Iran, they were attacking the Houthis down in Yemen, they were attacking Lebanon, right? They kind of took their finger off the pulse when it came to American media, right? They're more focused on attacking their enemies than attacking their adversaries on social media. What ended up happening is it allowed us to kind of be able to speak freely to a degree where we were able to talk about what was going on over there and be critical. But now that the ceasefire began, even though they're still killing Palestinians, but for the most part, the warfare has ended in Gaza, for the most part. Now Israel is starting to refocus its strategy on media. This is why they're paying influencers $7,000 per post. This is why your Twitter timeline has changed to pro-Israel all of a sudden. This is why they're starting to censor people on certain platforms that are critical of Israel. And I predicted all of this. I told you guys this months ago that we better enjoy this while we can because they're going to come after all of us. And they are. And it's happening right fucking now. Right? Netanyahu's been doing a press run. He went on pro-Israel podcast. He went and did an interview with Tatum, Trigonometry, Patrick Bet-David. Who else? I can't remember who else, but like there were pro-Israel podcasters. Oh, Nelk Boys. That was fucking crazy. And, you know, he does these softball 40-minute interviews with all these people, right? To push the Hezbollah, push the beheaded babies myth, push the babies in ovens myth, push the Israel's just defending itself myth, not address the genocide, not address the starvation, deny the fucking starvation, say that Hamas is stealing the food, push out all the Hezbollah lying talking points, right? As usual. And now that they've taken their foot off the gas a little bit when it comes to the warfare, now it's about information warfare. And they're refocused on that, okay? And they're clearly seeing that people like Candace Tucker, Nick, myself, and many others, Dave Smith, Norman Finkelstein, Suleiman, Jake Shields, Dan Bilzerian, so many different big figures on multiple platforms, by the way. This isn't just on YouTube or video platforms, but this is also on Twitter and Instagram and many others, right? And if I don't mention you, I apologize. But both on the left and the right, now they're refocusing on the media landscape in the United States. Now they're refocused on that. And this is why I built this all up for you guys to understand. This is a group of people that have been ostracized from many different societies, expelled from many different societies, and persecuted from many different societies for thousands of years. Israel is the only thing that they have. Okay? This is why this international cabal works together, and they work together very strongly to protect the interests of Israel. Whether it's American Jews here, American Jews in Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, etc. They all work together to ensure the protection of Israel. Okay? This is why a lot of these billionaires, like a Bill Ackman, who is a lifelong Democrat, by the way, will turn on his party if it means defending Israel. He spent millions of dollars trying to keep Zohran Mamdani out as mayor of New York City, despite the fact that Mamdani is a Democrat. Why? Because Mamdani is critical of Israel. He spent millions of dollars attacking his former school, Harvard, getting Claudine Gay out of there because they were being critical of Israel. This is a guy that donated money to the Clintons. This is a guy that's been a lifelong Democrat. But what did he do in 2024? He went ahead and supported Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump was going to be more pro-Israel. And I think you guys, that's just one example, but there's many others. The bottom line is this. Red or blue is a Jew, right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. The bird's going to Israel. Okay? When it comes to picking their normal political party in the United States or the party that's going to be more pro-Israel, they're going to pick the party that's more pro-Israel. Okay? So in other words, these people are Israel first. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I respect nationalism. However, do not fucking sit there and try to say you're an American patriot or subvert our government or lobby to get us dragged into conflicts and or waste our fucking tax dollars for a country that, quite frankly, doesn't give us the same level of value back. I think they create a lot of headaches for us and problems for us. Whether it's them bombing Qatar, us having to intervene and bomb Iran in their behalf, potentially risking World War III because they wanted to go ahead and run this Operation Rising Lions. And we had to come in because they didn't have the fucking interceptor missiles to defend themselves properly. Right? So anyway, I digress. But going back to what I was saying, the Tucker interview was the line in the sand for these people. Because Tucker Carlson, whether you like him or not, is probably the biggest conservative podcaster right now in America. Enormous. Came from Fox News, started his own independent project, killing it. Candace Owens as well. And Nick was on both platforms. Now, when you're telling the truth, right? Like this is the thing that people need to understand. When you're not telling the truth or you're full of shit, no one gives a crap. No one cares. It's when you're telling the truth and it's on a large platform that they care. And like I said before, Israel's now been able to refocus on social media despite all the wars. Now it's going to be an information warfare. And a declaration of war was made several days ago at the Republican Jewish Coalition, right? We had people like Ted Cruz talking about how he was on the phone all day or every day or every week talking to Donald Trump about bombing Iran. Right? There's a guy that literally said, I wanted to become a politician because I wanted to protect Israel. It's one of the chief reasons I became a politician. We have people like Lindsey Graham bragging about running out of bombs and killing all of our enemies. Right? Mind you, he's referring to the genocide that just went down in Gaza. We have people like Mark Levin openly calling for censorship. They're not even hiding it anymore. These people need to be deplatformed. Right? Spelled it out by name. Mentioned Nick and Candace and Tucker by name. Spelled it out even. He was that mad. We have people like Randy Fine, an Israel first politician. This is a guy that said we have a Muslim problem in America. This is a guy that said the streets of Gaza will run with blood. Now, let's go ahead and reverse that a little bit. Could you imagine if Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib said the streets of Tel Aviv will run with blood? Could you imagine if they said there's a Jewish problem in America? And I have to flip it like that for you guys so you understand the fucking craziness of a guy like Randy Fine, who's a fucking elected official, by the way, saying this shit. Like I described with you guys before with TikTok, when it comes to our national security with the Chinese versus the national security of Israel, TikTok didn't actually get taken down until the Jewish lobby complained. People like Randy Fine can openly call for killing people with no consequence. But if his colleagues who are Muslims said the same thing about Jews, they'd be under FBI investigation and they'd be immediately out of their office. I'm not a fan of Rashida Tlaib, and I'm not a fan of Ilhan Omar. I think they're fucking retarded females. Why are they in politics? However, I do think it's incredibly important to identify this wild double standard that exists in America, where Jews and Zionists can openly call for death and destruction while others cannot. Okay? Without some serious consequences. If they say it, yeah, Israel first. If someone else says it, oy vey, anti-Semitism, get them out of here. And let me be clear about this too. I condemn all violence. I don't like violence at all. Okay? Whether it's the death of Israelis and Jews or Muslims and Palestinians, I don't want anyone to die. I think violence is horrible. Okay? I value all life. But the problem here is that the Israelis don't share the same sentiment whatsoever. I think it's pretty fucking obvious now after 2 years of warfare that they don't give a shit at all about anyone that isn't a Jewish Israeli. Because don't fucking fall for the lie either. They'll sit there and say, well, we're the only democracy in the Middle East. We have 2 million Palestinians. Yeah, those Palestinians don't enjoy the same rights that the Jews do. They just don't. Oh, they're in our government. Yeah, okay, buddy. It's like one person. Okay? We have Muslims and stuff. They don't enjoy the same rights whatsoever. Okay? There's absolutely still an invisible line between the Arab Israelis, the Palestinian Arab Israelis, versus the Jewish Israelis. It's not the same. But I'm not here to talk about Israeli politics, but I'm here just to show you guys that there's an absolute double standard, a huge discrepancy between the people. Okay? Now, at this meeting, right, they basically declared war on not just what they call anti-Semitic people on the left, but also people on the right, and they named them by names. I'm here to tell you guys that it's going to get worse from here. The big part of this broadcast, I'm here to tell you guys that I don't care if you don't like Tucker. I don't care if you don't like Candace. I don't care if you guys don't like me. I don't care if you guys don't like Nick. I don't care if you guys don't like Jake Shields. I don't care if you guys don't like Dan Bilzerian. I don't care if you guys don't like Suleiman Ahmed or any of the other, Hassan Piker, Kyle Kulinski, right? Any of these guys that are, whether left-wing, right-wing, centered, I don't give a shit. I don't care, because I'm telling you guys, we're going to need to get together to some degree and support one another, because the censorship hammer is fucking coming. Okay? The censorship hammer is coming, and they declared war, and they are willing to utilize their power and influence to do so. Okay? And I described to you guys earlier who ran the social media companies, didn't I? Right? And I told you who bought TikTok, didn't I? There's a reason why I built all this up, so you guys understand who really runs shit, who really can censor shit, and how when it comes to Israeli national security, that takes precedence over American national security. TikTok is just one example. There's many others. And it would take forever for me to go through it on this broadcast. But I need you guys to get behind anyone that's critical of Israel. For the time being, we need to have temporary alliances, whether you like them or not, because they declared war on us. And not only did this happen at the Republican Jewish coalition, and when I say war, I don't mean it from a violent sense. I mean as in, we need to put the truth out there and fight back against this and use our voice. Because here's the thing I also want to say. I condemn any type of violence, because that's what they want. Oh man, do you guys know how much they would love it for people to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and lead a violent revolution? No, we don't fucking do that, because we have the truth on our side. When you have the truth on your side, the tongue is more powerful than the gun. When you have the truth on your side, the tongue is more powerful than the sword. We don't need fucking violence at all. We use our voice, we use our platforms, we tell the truth. And that's all you need. And that's why they're freaking out. If we weren't telling the truth, they wouldn't fucking care. You guys get it? If we were lying, they wouldn't fucking care. Okay? We got a little bit of freedom of speech. And what did we do? We broke that containment and we fucking kicked the door down. And now the genie's out the bottle. Israel committed a genocide. We saw it in 4K, despite them trying to lie to us and say that they're not killing these people and starving them. That was the beginning. We watched them run operations and kill a bunch of people all across the Middle East. Now we're connecting the dots with 9/11. Now we're connecting the dots with JFK. All the atrocities have been going on for fucking decades. Now people are finally seeing it. They're not censoring us because we're lying, or they're not calling to censor us because we're lying. They're calling to censor us because we're telling the fucking truth. And we're going to continue to tell the truth, and we're not going to use violence because that's precisely what they want. A day after Mamdani was elected mayor of New York City, someone drew a swastika sign on some type of, I think it was like a temple or an embassy or something like that, Israeli embassy, whatever. If you guys can just fact check it for me or whatever, right? Some type of Jewish building. And I saw a bunch of Zionists. Oh, look, see, they're drawing swastikas here. This is going to be Mamdani's New York City, blah, blah, blah. Guys, don't fall for the lies. They do false flags like this all the time. This happened in Australia, by the way, too, where people were allegedly drawing swastikas on temples and all this other shit. They did some investigating and they found out that it was actually Jews that did it. Okay? Don't forget the motto, by deception we create war. Okay? That's what they want. They want you to be drawing swastikas and threatening violence, all this other bullshit, man. What we need to do is have debates. And I encourage all the fucking pro-Israel people, Ben Shapiro, sit down with Nick. Have a discussion if his ideas are so bad. Right? You want to go have a 40-minute video? Right? And take clips out of context, jokes, and say, oh, look, this guy's deplorable. He's evil. Isn't it interesting that people like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and Bill Ackman and all these other super pro-Israel people are going nuts, calling people critical of Israel Nazis, right? That's what they say. You guys are Nazis. What the fuck is Benjamin Netanyahu? What the fuck is he? You guys support a government that literally just killed tens of thousands of people in fucking 4K. But you have the fucking gall to sit here and tell us that we're Nazis? And that's what I'm telling you guys. Don't let these fucking pieces of shit fucking try to sit there and gaslight you. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, all these guys, these pro-Israel commentators and political and analysts and newscasters, whatever the fuck it may be. If you guys are so sure that our position is wrong, fucking debate, have a discussion. Let your ideas do the fucking talking for you. But the reality is this, you motherfuckers don't want debate. That's why you guys went fucking nuts when Dave Smith embarrassed fucking dumbass Josh Hammer at Turning Point USA. Back in July, I saw it. I witnessed it. That's why they fucking freaked out. We're going to pull money from Turning Point USA. He platformed Dave Smith, who's Jewish, by the way, and totally embarrassed Josh Hammer. If our ideas are so destructive, why don't you guys go ahead and debate us and prove us wrong? Ben Shapiro, debate Nick. We'd all love to see it. It'd be the biggest fucking debate in forever. Defend your ideas. It's not going to hurt you at this point. He's bigger than you. I don't want to hear no fucking excuses. He's more relevant than you are. Debate him. We'd love to see it. Mark Levin, debate someone who's not. Debate Tucker. Debate Candace. Stop fucking sitting there and crying for Fox News. All you guys do is fucking cry. You guys don't even want to have the discussion because you want to know why the dark fucking truth? Is because the support of Israel is an indefensible fucking position. I'm going to say it again. The reason why you fucking cowards don't want to debate is because you guys know that the support of Israel is an indefensible fucking position. You guys kill children. You guys do false flags. You guys subvert our government. You guys lobby, both openly and privately. You guys have killed millions of innocent Muslims and Arabs all across the Middle East, and you guys push anti-Muslim propaganda in the United States to do so. And you guys have been doing it for a very long time. And here's the thing. Muslims aren't happy with me either. They've been angry at me and coming after me and everything else like that because I call it like it is. But it's irrefutable that anti-Muslim propaganda has been pushed by you guys to justify wars in the Middle East for a very fucking long time. See, they hate you because you guys are Americans. No, they hate America because America supports the Israelis who bomb and kill and destabilize them and been doing so for decades. And now that the information is getting out, you guys are pissed off about it. Everyone that calls this out is a jihadi or Hitler or a Nazi. All you guys can do is fucking name call. You guys can't actually have real discussions on anything. You guys don't want to talk about how you stole nuclear secrets from us. You guys don't want to talk about how you guys were absolutely involved in the assassination of a sitting US president. You guys don't want to talk about all the Zionist fingerprints all over fucking 9/11 that are now declassified and can be read in CIA reports, Intel reports, and FBI 302s. You guys don't want to talk about how a whole bunch of art students were caught during the same period and identified by the DEA. You guys don't want any of this stuff going on because the censorship regime that you guys ran for decades has crumbled. And now that the information is out there, guess what everyone's doing? Everyone's being critical of Israel because now they have both sides. The Great Awakening is here. And the only way you guys are going to be able to combat it really is defend your ideology through the crucible of debate, which we know that you guys don't want to fucking do that. You guys would rather sit there in your little coalition meeting, say we need to censor these people, name them by name, make phone calls, oy vey anti-Semitism, versus actually having these tough discussions. And that's where we are in America right now, guys. We're at a very pivotal crossroads, especially when it comes to conservative politics. So don't let them fucking gaslight you and say some bullshit about you're a Nazi, you're Hitler, blah, 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 all this other shit. Meanwhile, they support a prime minister that did things worse than fucking Hitler, honestly. And it's in a modern time when we have it in 4K. And he's actively stopping any type of peace process with the Palestinians. He's done everything in his power to sabotage a two-state solution or a one-state solution. He's waged war on the Iranians and dragged us in, lying, saying, oh yeah, they have a nuclear bomb. He's been saying they have a nuclear bomb for 30 years, as long as I've been alive, damn near. And guess what? Just so you guys know, all we did by bombing them was we made Iran stronger. You guys want to know what happened when we attacked them? Israel did their little attack. They fucked them up. Iran retaliated, bombed the hell out of them for 2 weeks. Israel started to run out of interceptor missiles. A lot of their strategic positions got hit, despite the fact that they had massive censorship, making sure that reporters don't show where they were getting hit. And we had to intervene to basically end the conflict because Israel would not be able to sustain that type of warfare where they are having to use interceptor missiles to stop their ballistic missiles on Iran. Iran has a lot more missiles and drones than Israel has interceptor missiles. That's the only reason that the war stopped. Both parties got fucked up, to be honest with you. But the Israelis try to lie and sit there and say, we won, blah, blah, blah. No, you guys were getting fucked up, right? And what ended up happening also, just so you guys know, there was a rift in the Iranian government at the beginning of the conflict. A lot of people didn't like the theocracy. The conservatives didn't like the West. The reformists wanted to make a deal with the West. They wanted to get engaged in the nuclear deal, relieve the sanctions, etc. Attacking Iran, all we did was we united them. We thought that we were going to decapitate them and get the Ayatollah out of there. Nope. People took to the streets, protested, and encouraged the government to attack Israel back. So they rallied around the flag and it completely fucking backfired. The stupid ass Shah was saying, yeah, guys, rally against the government. Speaking in Farsi, trying to get to the people. They're like, fuck you. We don't like this Khamenei guy, but we're going to go ahead and support him because we hate the Israelis more. And on top of that, they moved the uranium, the highly enriched uranium, out of the fucking nuclear sites. So we spent a bunch of money. We showed our hand. We threatened a potential conflict. Now Iran understands our weak points. buying fighter jets, better air defense. The country's more united now. I mean, it doesn't sound like a W to me. It sounds like a massive L. They bombed Qatar. They had some intelligence. They thought Hamas leaders were going to be meeting to discuss a Trump plan. They bombed it, thinking they were going to get them. They didn't get it. Embarrass Trump, egg on our face, after Trump literally got them to invest trillions of dollars in the United States, subvert our diplomacy. Mind you, don't forget, Trump went to the fucking Middle East and dealt with the Gulf states before he did with Israel. Then we had to sign a deal with the Qataris, like idiots. A NATO-type plan where if they're attacked now, we have to retaliate and protect them. Forced our hand there. Forced the Saudis to go ahead and make a nuclear deal with Pakistan, where if Saudi Arabia is attacked, an attack on Saudi Arabia is like an attack on Pakistan. Pakistan has nuclear weapons, right? Which that could become the beginning of a Muslim NATO. And this is the problem. See, when you look at the bullshit that Israel does, right? Their reckless foreign policy, their unprovoked attacks, their intelligence operations that they do, what they do is they subvert the diplomacy that we work to put in and put us in very awkward positions. And that is not America first at all. Especially when we tell them not to do certain things, we give them aid, we give them cover at the UN, we protect them from the war crimes that they've done. Netanyahu's a wanted war criminal right now, by the way. And they still disobey us. Despite all the cover and protection we give them, they still disobey us. We tell them, don't annex the West Bank. They're working on annexing it right now. They might not officially do it, but they continuously expand the illegal settlements all across the West Bank. We tell them that there's a ceasefire. They're still fucking bombing Gaza as we speak. So look, man, this is where we are, guys. We got people that are telling the truth about what's going on, that are truly America first, and they understand for us to be America first, we need to get rid of this fucking parasite, which is the state of Israel, that's literally fresh off doing a genocide and then trying to police our fucking free speech in America, the fucking gall. People like Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, all these other pro-Zionist fucking cucks. They're defending a genocidal apartheid fucking state, trying to tell us that we're Hitler for calling that shit out. And I also want to bring up this guy from the Heritage Foundation. What's this fucking guy's name? This coward? One more time. What is it? This fucking guy, man? Yeah, Kevin Roberts, right? Because I want to address this too. So this guy, Kevin Roberts, right? The head of the Heritage Foundation, which is a Republican think tank. One of the biggest ones in America, by the way. They wrote Project 2025, Project Esther, etc. So when the interview came out, he actually defended Tucker. They wanted him to denounce Tucker and Nick. And he said something along the lines of, look, despite the fact that we might not agree with Nick, blah, 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 we stand for free speech and we're not going to bend a knee on that. 24 hours later, guy's fucking apologizing like a fucking bitch. I mean, how many more examples do I need to fucking tell you guys that we're occupied? You guys think the Israelis just occupy the Golan Heights, the West Bank, and Gaza? No, they fucking occupy the United States too. This guy's a Christian. This guy's supposed to be America first. This guy's supposed to be free speech. This is what he said in the first thing when he defended Tucker and Nick and their free speech. But then now he's doing the fucking apology tour. Kanye West apologized to a fucking rabbi today. Fuck that shit. No more apologizing. Is every Jew bad? Of course not. Some of the people that are calling out this genocide are Jewish, right? Some of the biggest people, allies that we have are Jewish that are calling out this stuff. And to them, more power to them. But for all the people that are pro-Israel, pro-killing children, pro-IDF, pro-censorship, fuck you. We're not going to apologize. And I think at this point, guys, we need to there's a line in the sand. There really is at this point. You either stand for the establishment, pro-Israel, Fox News, Zionist cuck motherfuckers right? Or you stand for the people that believe in truth, believe in human dignity, believe in free speech, believe in America, and understand that we have a tapeworm attached to us. Okay? We have a fucking tapeworm that's been attached to us for decades. This tapeworm has made us vulnerable. This tapeworm has undermined our diplomacy. It's gotten presidents killed. It's gotten people assassinated. It's gotten innocent children bombed and killed all across the Middle East. And they will continue to be the tapeworm and kill us if we don't remove them from our government and from our higher echelons of power. Look, you want to be pro-Israel? You want to say we need to defend Israel and all this other crap? Fine, go to fucking Israel. But we don't want to pay for it anymore. You guys want to be nationalists and you guys love your country? I don't even have a problem with that. Even though I oppose Israel and I don't like Israel and I don't like what they're doing and I think that it's a genocidal apartheid ethno-state, etc. If you want to be a nationalist and you love Israel, fine. That is your fucking right. And actually, as a matter of fact, I want to be clear about this too. I don't even want these people censored. I don't want Mark Levin censored. I don't want Ben Shapiro censored. I don't want any of these guys fucking censored. I want them to continue to spout the pro-Israel Hezbollah talking points so we can all laugh at them and look at how fucking retarded they are. So they can continue to expose themselves. The difference is that they want us censored. And they're openly saying it. They're openly saying it every day now at this point. We need to deplatform these people. We need to remove these people. I want them to exist. I want them to keep having their shows and keep saying the things that they say so that we can continue to laugh at them, debunk them, and if they have the nuts, to debate them. That's the big difference between us and them. They want us gone. We want them here so they can spat out their ideas so that we can make fun of them. We just don't want to go ahead and fucking keep paying them and giving them money to drop bombs on kids. I think anybody can agree with that at this point. We've all seen the images of kids actually getting beheaded in Gaza, right? As they go ahead and push the fucking lie of 40 beheaded babies, we're actually watching babies get beheaded in Gaza. We're seeing American citizens get killed in the West Bank, being held there. Ambulance can't even get to them as violent settlers let them die. We're watching violent settlers break into fucking farms that they don't even own and kill goats and livestock, destroy olive trees, steal land. I don't want to fucking fund that shit. I don't want to support that shit. Fight your own fucking wars. You guys created this problem. You guys deal with it. You guys have started warfare with all of your fucking enemies. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, none of these motherfuckers existed before. They're created as a response to Israel. You know, it's like they start the conflict at October 7th. Oh yeah, bro. Oy vey, we have a right to defend ourselves. Hamas came in and killed us. Well, what happened before that? You're anti-Semitic. Hitler, Nazi. They don't even want to have the conversation. They don't want to talk about cutting the grass. Where basically every couple of months or every couple of years they go in and they kill a bunch of Palestinians. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about expanding the illegal settlements, breaking the Oslo Accords. They don't want to talk about how they bomb embassies, how they assassinate people. They don't want to talk about any of that shit. Right? They try to keep that stuff censored so that you guys don't really know what the fuck is going on. But once you guys know this stuff, it's very difficult to support that state once you know the truth, man. And people are waking up. So that's my address, guys, right? I want you guys, the bottom line is I want you guys to get behind Nick. I want you guys to get behind Candace. I want you guys to get behind Tucker, right? Some of the biggest voices right now. Because I do think that the censorship hammer is coming. And I do think that strategically, you know, whether you like any of the people I mentioned before, I think it's important that if you stand for truth, you need to stand behind them. And I think we need to form an alliance on this because they're going to use everything in their power to come and censor us and try to stop us. I'm already seeing it on Twitter. The algorithm has completely changed. All I have is a bunch of Hezbollah fucking agents all across my timeline, which is fine. I don't mind embarrassing them and ratioing them. But they declared war against us, and I see that it's coming. And they want it to be violence, but we're not going to give them that fucking benefit. We're not going to give them that satisfaction of being able to call us violent. We don't need violence, guys. We really don't. That's what they fucking want. The tongue is more powerful than the sword. So, all right, I'll read some of these chats. And we can wrap this thing up. And I really appreciate you guys all tuning into the broadcast and supporting. But this was a very important one. I felt that I needed to get off my chest immediately and let you guys know kind of where we stand right now. Humble Genie says, them boys bailed Trump out in the past, but he was bankrupt. That is one of the many reasons they own him. Yeah. Well, also another reason too is because, guys, keep in mind, he had a bunch of lawsuits and a bunch of criminal charges against him. If he didn't become president, he'd be in prison right now. Miriam Adelson bailed him out with that $100 million. I'll tell you that. This is a new political world. Republicans will continue to lose the longer they continue to prioritize a foreign entity like Israel. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Absolutely. Who's up next? Okay, 96 God. The damn Jays got Kanye to apologize. Yeah, bro. I know. Fucking retarded. Mr. Clap Cheeks, WMR, WSS, WICE. Let's fucking go. Appreciate you. Coco Manny. Judea declares war on America. History is repeating itself again. Yep, it definitely is, my friend. Johnny 311 Duck says, did you talk or know about the new AG of Virginia that said he wants to K conservatives? Yeah, they definitely want us gone, bro. That's a fact. Welcome back. Appreciate you, Spin. Sharp says someone could make a compilation of all the supposed right-wing podcasts trashing Tucker from Shapiro to Victor Davis Hansen. Yeah. Yeah, they lost their mind over the Tucker and Nick interview. They literally lost their mind. It's funny because if you look at that Tucker interview, massive views, massive likes. You look at the Ben Shapiro hit piece, crazy dislikes, not as many views. So the people have spoken. Guys, we have the silent majority on our side. We are winning. Just so you guys know, they're only doing this because we're fucking winning. Okay? They wouldn't need to fucking call this meeting and mobilize the troops and make these declarations if they were winning. We're winning. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're paying influencers $7,000. That's why they're changing the fucking algorithms. That's why every fucking other post I see on Twitter is a hit piece on Candace Tucker, myself, or any of the other people that are critical of Israel. We are winning. We are winning. Despite the fact that they control the flow of information and the platforms, they are not winning. The people are waking up, man. Okay? We have a silent majority behind us. Raj says, thank you, Brother Myron, for all that you do for us. We appreciate you. Absolutely, bro. Peter Bailey says, Myron, continue to fight for our people and continue to do everything you are doing. Always stayed strapped and protected by the people you trust. We will meet one day. I appreciate you, Peter Bailey. Yeah, no, man. And I'll be over at OSU on November 12th. So Ken Rose with the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Southtown says, Myron, could you bring back? No. Next chat. Sharp says, stop asking me that shit. Sharp says, it was very soon after the Nick Tucker interview, but would you have criticized Crowder for attacking Tucker had you the time and information? Lots of people were disappointed the subject didn't come up, but it made sense since it had been recorded. Yeah, guys, when we recorded that, I think it was before the interview. I think it was before the interview even dropped when we did that, that pod, or had just come out. I forget exactly, because it was a couple of weeks ago when we recorded that, guys. So it's fine, bro. I mean, look, and this is what I mean when I say, like, I can have discussions with people that might disagree with me. Crowder has a more completely hands-off. He doesn't want any foreign aid. I understand that. I think obviously foreign aid is very bad, but I think when it comes to Israel, it goes way beyond just foreign aid, bro. It goes way beyond foreign aid. They're literally writing our legislation, guys. Peter Bailey, they're not ready for this. They're not ready for you, brother. Hey, man, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not at the top of the totem pole, bro. Like, they're attacking everybody else, which, my broadcast here is, I want you guys to mobilize and support Nick, Tucker, Candace, because they're the main three in the crosshairs right now of that coalition by far. Wiley Coyote says, didn't you think part of the problem is that they are non-members? They see non-members as vermin. Hence, they see no problem in committing crimes after, since they don't see them as human. Yeah, I mean, that's a part of it. That's a part of it, according to some of the scripture that they have. We're stupid goyim. That's a part of it. But I'm trying to stay, I'm focusing more on the geopolitical aspects, not so much the theology. I don't like to debate theology too much because it's open to interpretation. They can convert it however they want. So I'm just sticking kind of more with the facts on the ground from a political standpoint. But yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and have plenty of discussions on the Talmud and how they see non-members of them boys. God Smitty says, Fresh as Dog. No, W. Martin, thank you as always. Got you, God Smitty. I appreciate you guys in the OSS. And guys, if you guys want to support me, man, because they're probably going to gun for me too at some point. Join the OSS, man. Link is below. It's only $1 to join. Type in the code LYouTube. As you guys know, we're demonetized on YouTube, but this broadcast was very important. I felt like we had to come on the platform and talk about this on there. And I know a lot of you guys, might not have access to Rumble, or you might not be able to do it. And I think a broadcast like this is very important. I wanted to get out to as many people as possible versus making money. So anything else? Fresh as Dog says, weird how those pics of Ye's daughter looking crazy come out. And then a week later, Ye apologized to them boys. Yeah. Have fun in Vegas. Appreciate your grind. Appreciate you, bro. I mean, we're not really having fun. We're working, bro. We're really working. Yeah, we're literally about to, after this, go shoot some more shit and meet up with some people. Do you see us free from the situation with Israel and our politics and their influence in the near future? My friend, that is why I had this broadcast. That is precisely why I had this broadcast in the first place. We finally have the power to change it. And that's why they're fucking scared. Okay? So, like I said before, this is where we get rid of the bipartisan lines. This is where we get rid of the egos. This is where we get rid of the infighting. And I think we need to unite and, figure out how we're going to deal with this problem, because this is, I'm telling you guys, it's coming. And I've told you guys this for months, that we're not going to be able to talk about this topic with the same openness forever. And it's absolutely coming. They're going to target us here on this side of the internet. They're going to target the guys over on the left side of the internet. It's coming. The censorship is absolutely coming, and we need to be prepared and deal with it and unite. So, anything else? Cool. Guys, I know this was a shorter broadcast. We normally go 7 hours or so, but I'm here on another person's studio. Shout out to Miguel and Charlie for letting me borrow it. Thank you for Miguel's little brother for running the show. I call him Mini Miguel, pause. I don't want to dox him. We got Brendan back as well helping out. BMAC says, Amaran, did you hear about Birmingham in the UK? Israel football team were banned from attending due to the football hooligan violence they always do. And they call everyone anti-Semitic. It was all over the news in the UK. UK is also ran by them boys, WStream. Yeah. You guys got the Labour Party over there. Same thing in Australia. They got like AJAC or some shit like that. I'm telling you, bro, like it's an international cabal mafia. It's not just a mafia here in America that runs shit. They are literally an international cabal that fucking bully and intimidate people through cancellation, deplatforming, etc. Okay? And we're not going to fucking take it anymore. Now, remember that song? We're not going to take the same shit. We're tired of these fucking guys telling us what we can and can't say. This isn't Tel Aviv. This is the United States of fucking America. If you guys want to sit there and push your Hasbara and your pro-Israel stances, go the fuck over there. Be nationalists over there. But we're tired of paying for your guys' war. We're tired of paying for your guys' genocide. We're tired of paying for your guys' fucking problems that you guys create, that create issues for us later on. Fuck that shit. We are standing up to the state of Israel and all of its fucking foreign agents that live here and pose as American patriots when you guys aren't. You motherfuckers are Israel first. And we're calling you guys out. Anyway, with that said, I love you guys. Okay. America first, America only. And God bless the United States. I'll catch you guys.